Hi, gorgeous light. Welcome to a new day. This is a parable of the white feather. Once there was an angel in heaven, and she looked down on people every day. She guided them as lovingly as she could, and she worried about people dreadfully. She talked to the other angels as much as she could of her concerns for mankind, their lack of understanding how much that the angels were actually there with them. The other angels shook their heads and said to her, "You just need to do the best you can." The other angels reminded her that angels weren't responsible for the choices that men made, but merely supported them and loved them through all of their choices, as the earth plane was a free choice planet. The angel was so sad, she was sure that she could reach them more. And she knew that the other angels loved man just as much as she did, but she was sure she could reach them if she only tried harder. To love them more, they would realise they were indeed loved and supported by the angels and by a higher power. She thought for days as she looked down and leaned in to watch busy people on a busy street, and one of her feathers dropped from her wings and fluttered from the heavens and landed at the feet of a small boy. The feather was iridescent white and pristine, and the small boy giggled as he bent down and picked up the feather and pulled on his mother's skirt. "Look, Mum," he said, "an angel feather." The mother absently looked and smiled fleetingly. "It's just a feather," she said, and he smiled to himself. "No," he said quietly, and he held the feather as he crossed the road. The angel held her breath. She could not believe it. The little boy had recognised the feather and knew that the angel was there. Thoughts flew all around her head, and for one tiny moment she could see the fallen feather had reached the little boy and been received. Surely she could do that with more feathers and reach more people. And when they stopped for a moment to collect the feather, they would feel the presence of the angels helping them in every moment of every day. She glowed brightly with delight and quickly told the other angels of the plan. They smiled gently at her and said, "We have tried over time to reach men and reach them more, but they do not listen well. We still love and support them so much, but they are very preoccupied with their lives." The angel refused to be deterred from her plan, and she moved quickly down the busy street. She waited and she watched, and she listened to the thoughts of the people. She would follow the person that was having the most difficulty in their life, and when they stopped for a moment, or they sat, or they paused to reflect, she would reach behind her and pull a feather from her wings and let it go, and it would drift down to the earth plane. Some people noticed and picked up the feather and held it for a moment, and in that moment they could feel the tiny light of support and great love that the angels had for them, and she could feel their worry lift momentarily. She loved this, and she hoped it would make a difference in their world to let themselves be touched for just a moment. Other times, and more often than not, the feather was drift from the heavens, fall unseen to the ground, to be blown away on the wind, and she would stiffen her back and try again and again. Pulling the feathers from her wings, she would constantly try as much as she could to bring the light of the angel messages to the earth world. She worried constantly she would not have enough feathers for everyone. As the more time she spent on the earth plane, in and around people's thoughts, the more she pulled feathers from her wings and let them drift in the wind. One day she was feeling particularly down, and she came across a woman whose thoughts were of complete worry. She was pregnant, and it was not a planned pregnancy at all, and she was so worried how she would tell her husband. They were already financially stretched with 3 other children and now a fourth. The angel was drawn to the woman's worry and sorrow, and reached behind her and pulled a large wing feather from her wings and floated it into the wind. The wind caught the pristine white feather and blew it in the path of the woman. It landed on the dirty street, and the woman just missed stepping on it. Distracted by the blur of white at her feet, she looked down and saw the beautiful feather. She bent and picked it up, and for one moment she saw her own mother, bending and reaching to catch her as a young child, and she smiled. "Mum is with all of us," she thought, "and we will work this out too." She straightened her shoulders as she hurried along the street, tucking the angel feather in her bag because it was too beautiful to be left on the street, and she knew that her daughter would love it. The angel, with her hands clasped to her chest and tears in her eyes, breathed out a huge sigh of contentment. She paused for a moment, then listened for one more worrying thought. She reached behind her to grab another feather, and there was none. She turned to the left and looked at her wings. Nothing. She turned to the right and stared over her shoulder. Nothing. She put her hand behind her and reached back. No wings. She fluttered them. There was no whispering sound of wings moving. She was horrified. Had she really pulled all of her feathers out? What was she going to do now? She was not worried about herself, but how could she help more people? The angel sobbed and quickly moved through the heavens and hid from the other angels. How could she tell them that her plan had failed and that all that she had done was touch a few people, and because of it she had no wings? She sobbed, and then a gentle hand touched her shoulder. The light of the divine shone on the angel, and he asked her to tell him why one of his beloved angels was crying. She told him with downcast eyes about the failure of her plan and the fact she had plucked all of her wings completely of feathers. He lifted her chin gently and commended her on her love of being kind, and then shining brightly asked her to look again above and behind her. She looked up and back and was startled to see her iridescent wings glowing brilliantly. But I thought I gave all my feathers away. She smiled brilliantly and said, your wings are the love, and that love is limitless. And when you think you only have so much love, you give only so much love. You put yourself in a condition of how much love that you have, and the reality is that love is a bottomless source and always renewing and growing on itself if you just realise that you have to love you too. You can give always in all ways, but make sure that you are loving and kind and giving to yourself as well. The angel nodded, fluttering off with this new wisdom. She returned to the earth plane to keep up the good work. The moral of the story, we quite often tell ourselves that we need to love people more, that we need to give more, and we do not really see that at times we're trying to see simply show people how good we are. You're already good. You do not need to give away every single piece of yourself and your energy just to keep others happy. You need to look after yourself as well. And when you realise that you give to you, it is limitless, and you have more energy too to give to others. Love is like that. In balance, it is given freely and with love. Do not let it be at the cost of your well-being. And I think this story is really, really important because I know when I wrote it, I could actually really have a sense of the angel just pulling out all her wings regardless and giving them to people. And I watch people and I work with carer souls and I absolutely love them. But I also am seeing on the earth plane at this period of time a huge amount of carer souls that are really, really sick and really, really struggling with their own illness as well. And I think that there is a time for really good boundaries because yes, you can give, but there is also a fantastic art in receiving, and allowing yourself to receive means that you allow another person to gift you the love, support and care that they want to give to you as well. So it is all things in balance, as Spirit says, and it's really important because I think we don't stop a lot, and we can really get caught up when we don't stop of thinking that you're on this rat wheel when you just relentlessly have to give and have to give and have to give. And it's so important to understand that it is not healthy for anyone to actually tell themselves to do that. And I see a lot of guilt in people, particularly from childhood programming, where they've been told that they're actually selfish to actually want some things for themselves. You're not selfish. It's your life. You're actually really, really entitled to have some things for yourself. And you do not have to gift every single part of yourself to anybody else at any given time. Nobody asked you to do that. So it's incredibly important for you to understand that when you take the time to fill yourself up, you have actually even more love that you can possibly give to people as well if you choose to do that, or animals, or the planet, whoever you choose to gift it to. But just understand, I really like that word when Spirit talks about it, they say, choose to gift a present to someone, and remember this, you don't follow that person home to see what they did with the gift, whether they truthfully liked it or where they put it in their house. So stop expecting people to actually reciprocate or show you or do. If you're giving a gift, you're giving a gift. And do it out of the sheer allowability of allowing that person to receive it in whatever way. By the same token, if someone chooses to gift you, receive it in a way that is generous and kind as well. We do have a lot of expectations on the earth plane about how if you're giving, then somebody else should be giving. It's not the way it works. If you want to give and you want to give freely, then you can't have an attachment that that person will do the same for you. All it's going to do is make you feel resentful that you give all the time and nobody else gives you something back again. So, be the love that you wish that you had received. You be that, but be it for yourself first as well, because as you radiate that frequency, you send out a call to the universe for matching frequency, and within that frequency you get the love back that you actually want for yourself as well. It's a much easier way than doing it than expecting people that can't reach your level of love to actually love you back in exactly the same way. That's a really, really big mistake. We all love at different levels, and the truth of it is that we love at the level that we actually love ourselves. And to be fair, there's a lot of people on the earth plane that were never ever taught to love themselves, and they don't even know where to start. So it's kind of a little bit like kicking a puppy if you're expecting them to turn up in a loving way like you do, because it's not fair. This is an evolutionary planet, and we're all in it together, and we're all learning it along the way. Hope you enjoyed the parable. Have a great day.